Welcome everybody. Welcome to T-Pulse Corner. This is Travis, your host, and today is day 12 of Evergreen month, where we focus on the Evergreen keywords that Wizards has set up. And today's subject is Hexproof. And there's two ways you can go about it. You can do Hexproof creatures themselves, or you can do cards that give them Hexproof. And that's usually actually the most common, is to give them Hexproof for a turn or two. But we do have a lot of creatures that have that. I put together a deck that's mostly the hexproof creatures, so we're leaving off a lot of green. A lot of people use Ranger's Guile to give a creature hexproof until the end of the turn, or Snakeskin Veil, for example. So the definition of hexproof, player or permanent with hexproof can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. So very powerful, very desirable mechanic, because they can't just lightning bolt your creature out of existence anymore. They've got to either maybe do a total board wipe, which if they do something like, let's say, Doomskar. Okay, Doomskar destroys all creatures. Hexproof won't protect you from that. Indestructible protects you from that. Hexproof does not, because it's not targeting a specific creature, it's hitting everybody all at once. And so that's basically allowed. So whenever you see a card that says all creatures, that's a way to get around Hexproof. But in the meantime, I stayed away from most of the spells that give hexproof because I already got hexproof on all my creatures in the deck for the most part, one way or another. We left off Kirabes the Sea God. That's an 8/8 Kraken creature token with hexproof because it's a very popular card. It's in a ton of decks, and we just want a little variety. But let me go through. Here's the overview. 21 creatures, 24 lands. Notice there's no red hexproof. Red isn't big in hexproof. I'm not sure why. Maybe they figure it's already powerful enough without it. But Wizards make certain decisions on which mechanics tend to have a certain color affinity and tries to mostly keep them in that house to a large degree. So it's the mana curve looks a little lopsided. There's a lot of 3 drops, a lot of 6 drops, so it's an expensive deck. We've got Giant's Amulet from the Kaldheim expansion. When it enters the battlefield, you can pay 4 more mana. If you do, you create a 4/4 blue giant wizard creature token. That's the picture you see to the left there. And then you attach the amulet to it. So if you don't have that kind of money, you just spend 1 down and then 2 to equip another creature. The equipped creature has +1 for toughness, and it has hexproof as long as it's untapped. You're going to see this with a lot of the cards, a lot of the creatures especially. They don't necessarily give you hexproof because it's so powerful to stay forever and apply to all things. So there's usually a condition. So with this one, you see it's hexproof as long as it's untapped. We've got some removal in here, 4 copies of Bloodchief's Thirst to get rid of creatures, 1 copy of Dead Weight, in case there's indestructible, but they're vulnerable to losing their counters, 2 copies of Shadowspear. This is another way around hexproof. If you spend 1 mana, it says, permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So if you're coming up against hexproof and it's proving to be a big problem for you all the time, put 1 or 2 copies of Shadowspear in your deck, and that way you'll have a possible answer for it. 1 copy of Expel to exile a target tapped creature. 1 Elspeth's Nightmare. This will exile their graveyard as the 3rd part of the enchantment saga, so you don't have to worry about escaped creatures. 2 copies of Cultivate, because we do have 4 colors, so we do need to be able to get a little bit of land out for the expense. 4 copies of Garruk's Harbinger. This is kind of awkward because I do have a Garruk's Planeswalker, but we didn't put him in this deck because it's not a Planeswalker deck. It's not a Garruk deck. But Garruk's Harbinger has hexproof from black, so not from all colors. But if you happen to come across a black deck, this can give them a lot of headaches. Also has the ability that if you hit your opponent, you can reveal a creature card from among the deck. That determines the number of cards is how much power. So if you have a way to increase them beyond 4, you can draw it and look at even more cards. But for right now, basically you hit them, do 4 damage, you look at 4 cards, and if there's a creature there, you can put it into your hand. 3 copies of Linvala, Shield of Seagate. This is a 3/3 flyer. It operates under the party mechanics, which is like the D&D type stuff. So this is a wizard, and you would need a cleric, a rogue, and a warrior to get the full party kind of deal. But that's until your next turn. It can't attack or block for your chosen target, non-permanent opponent controls. We're going to ignore that. What we're looking at mostly is the ability to sacrifice Linvala. You choose hexproof or indestructible. Creatures you control gain that ability until the end of the turn. Most of our other creatures already have hexproof, so we're actually looking at the indestructible thing. If they can get around the hexproof part, then maybe this will help still save them. One altar of the Pantheon to basically give us another mana source, because, as I said, it's an expensive deck. 2 Crystalline Giants, because they can also get hexproof. They can get all the other mechanics too. Well, not all the mechanics, but they can get up to 12 other mechanics. Skyclave Relic, another mana source. It also is indestructible, and it has a kicker cost. So instead of paying 3, you can play 6, and you'll get 3 total tokens. Well, 2 tokens in the original, and you can add 1 mana of any color. For flyers, 2 copies of Eradicator Valkyrie. They have hexproof from Planeswalkers. So again, one of these conditional things, and not a normal thing that you see, but it can be a lifesaver in the right circumstances. 2 copies of Dream Trawler. This is double colored, so you need 2 white, 2 blue, and 2 colorless sources to get it out. It has flying and lifelink. And whenever you draw a card, it gets +1. And whenever it attacks, you get to draw a card, so you automatically turn it from a 3 to a 4 power whenever you attack. The ability where hexproof comes in, you can discard a card from your hand, and Dream Trawler herself will gain hexproof until the end of the turn. If you do it before she attacks, it might ruin your plans, though, because you have to tap it. So it's best if you're attacking with it and they decide to do something then, and then you decide to foil their plans. Spined Megalodon. This is part of why my deck is so expensive. I have 4 copies. Whenever it attacks, you get to scry one as well. But a 5/7 hexproof creature coming at you, that can ruin your whole day. And the other expensive card, 4 copies of Cragplate Baloth, has hexproof and haste, so you can put it down, attack in the same turn, and you can't do anything against it, right? Because it's hexproof. You need to have a bigger creature to stop it, or a couple of small creatures double blocking. It does have a kicker spell, so if you have a lot of mana, instead of 7, you'd have to have 10. You can actually put 4+1 counters on it, so it'll be a 10/10 haste creature attacking you. And to deal with enchantments and artifacts, 1 copy of Heliod's Intervention, and the rest is the lands. And I probably messed up because I didn't put any pathway cards in there. I just let the deck auto-sort. So we're going to mix that up a little bit. We'll go ahead and put in some of these to try. We do need some white, and there. So that keeps us at 60, but it gives us some dual choices. We'll try that out and see how it goes. So as we take it out for a spin, if you like these videos, hit like or subscribe if you would. Do us the favor. Thanks. Okay, so what I did was I went in and tweaked the land. I added 2 cards. I added a Fabled Lands, and I added one of the pathways that gives me both black or blue. And despite having... Oh, there we go. It gives us some kind of help here. I could just put the amulet down and then equip somebody later, but we've got some flexibility right now. And this could just be a dragon deck where they hurl a bunch of direct damage at me. Let's see, okay, I could need 2 for removal. I will need 2 for Dream Trawler. Let's start with that. Lots of expensive cards. I may need to revisit the number of creatures and take away, let's see, we'll get the green, because the green gets us to the others. So what I think I'll do is I want Dream Trawler out. So instead of the second black source for removal, hello. We'll see if we can pull the whole creature out. Flying 4/4 coming at you. And usually when we get Crystalline Giant, a lot of what we're hoping for as soon as possible is the hexproof trade, so that they don't remove it. The longer it stays, the more powerful it becomes, adding on all the other mechanic capabilities. So what I could do is I could add the amulet and equip it and make it hexproof while it's untapped. Yeah, aren't you a disgusting creature? Okay, so we can just kill you with one though, right? Because you're all tapped out, and that one is irritating. And I like the idea of equipping this. I'm not going to auto-pay. I'm going to keep it like that. Let's see what we get. Death Touch? Alright, when it's tapped it'll be vulnerable. So now what we're actually hoping is to have it get hexproof regularly so it doesn't need this protection, or to get vigilance. So that gives us two different traits to hope for. In the meantime, we're keeping our life equal to theirs. If they have a couple more of those, that could kill us. We're at a stage where we can almost cast everything. It might be worth, because I have so many powerful hexproof creatures, so many expensive hexproof creatures, I might go ahead and take out one or two of the really big ones and put in a couple of cantrips, a couple of instants that let me go ahead and give hexproof temporarily, just for things like situations like these. If I had one of those green hexproof for a turn kind of things, that might be a good surprise to protect creatures like the Crystalline Giant until they're able to survive on their own. But it looks like they don't have an answer for it anyway right now. They might have more shocks and incinerates and stuff like that, but that's not enough. Usually by now you'd pile on, and if you have a lot of direct damage, you just cast as many spells as you needed to kill the irritant. So it leaves me wondering what's in their hand. And they didn't do anything. Did they disappear? Are they gone? Okay, let's put out Linvala, because that way, if they do have some way to kill Crystalline Giant, I could actually sacrifice Linvala and make the giant either indestructible or hexproof, whatever's needed to help it survive another day. And they do have some kind of card. Okay, so that has hexproof by itself now, right? Which means, let's see. No, it got a +1 counter. So if we move this over here. Okay, yeah, it did. That was the one it just got. So now both of my creatures have hexproof, which is so lovely, because now you need a board wipe. And on a board wipe, I can still sacrifice Linvala and make the giant indestructible and keep him around. And you can look at them all you want, but unless you got a Shadowspear and something that can do 4 points of damage. I mean, it is possible. There are answers out there, but you have to have thought ahead to pack them into your deck. Do we have a way to add 1 more point of damage? We do not. They don't care, because they saw the writing on the wall. And that's how devastating hexproof can be. I'm still going to tweak the deck. I'm going to take out a couple of expensive creatures, and we'll try one more time. Okay, we're going to go in here again. We still want to follow through with the hexproof theme for this particular deck. And what we want, we could use white or we could use black. We want to give them something that gives them hexproof. So I'm looking at, yeah, I mean, either one of these really works, doesn't it? So we'll get one of these and one of these. And let's go down to the more expensive ones. We'll get rid of 1 Megalodon and 1 Baloth, just because it's very unlikely that we're going to end up getting a whole lot of those expensive creatures out. And we're going to go in and try that. Not that we're having a lot of problems yet. We had more of a technical problem. I lost the first video copy of our actual first match. I think I accidentally deleted it. I'm new to this, so I'm still learning everything. But so far, you'll have to take my word for it. We've had 2 matches. We've won 2 matches. But I tend to tweak these things as I go. I'm never quite fully satisfied. I'm messing with the mana mix. Because you can see here, we have so many expensive creatures that the mix may still not be correct. Just because if they have a fast deck, we could get killed before we ever get a creature out in the first place. So now we have some choices to make. Do we want a second green so we can actually put a creature down? Or do we want black so we have removal? Because they're probably going to have something like a Gigantosaurus coming our way. But we would need 2 black sources for that. So I don't think we're going to slow them down much, but we'll go ahead and show that we can do something rather than just sit here turn after turn doing nothing at all. Dead is dead, so if I have to get rid of a 1/1, I will. Okay, Elder Garruk. That is disgusting, and I can't do anything against it right now. Elder Garruk is a powerful enough card. It can kill you in 3 or 4 turns. And Iron Scale Hydra stops your on-the-ground combat creatures. So what I might need to do instead is throw a board wipe in here for occasions like this. And that's not terribly fast. I mean, it's, what, turn 6 already? And I'm the one who's having the mana problems. And I still can't kill the Elder Garruk, and it does nothing against the Iron Scale Hydra. And I haven't had any of my removal spells come up yet. Well, Bloodchief's counts, but I actually still have some mana issues there, don't I? Whereas these guys are having no problem with land, and no problem with creatures. And this is going to be very clear, and I think it's definitely clear that I have too many powerful creatures in here. And so we're just going to get out of here and we're going to go tweak the deck. And it's not necessary that our first 2 wins were flukes, but we want it to be a better deck against a wider variety of opponents. Okay, rather than just go right into a new match with the already edited deck, I wanted to go through my thinking, especially for newer players and players who might have trouble trying to do their own kind of deck construction. You can look at the general overview and you can see where you might have problems with your mana flow, and having that many expensive creatures and nothing in between is an issue. So we're kind of limited on this artificially because we're doing the hexproof kind of mentality, so we look to them first to build the deck, but we did end up with 2 very powerful creatures that we couldn't do anything with. So what we can do, let's go ahead and get 1 copy of Doomskar in the deck for a board wipe, and let's go get an Extinction Event for a second one. I only have 1 copy of those anyway. I'm sort of hoarding onto my wild cards before I make anything more. It's one of the artificial limitations I put on myself for doing these videos. Because we're a free-to-play account, we haven't spent any money. So I want to make sure that people understand you don't have to drop a whole lot of money on this game if you don't want to. You can just play like normal, get the decks, make use with your limited resources. And you actually do have more resources than this because you can use your wild cards to create extra copies of these cards until you have, you know, I could have 4 copies of Extinction Event if I wanted to. But I'm really kind of squeezing that artificial limitation to really drive home the point that you can build good decks based on really limited resources, just what's provided for free in the game. You can still build up quite an arsenal. Okay, so we still got 62 cards because I wanted the extra land because we've got four lands to go with, and we still have these mana issues. And since I'm thinking about it, I have 4 copies of Bloodchief's Thirst, but you need 2 black to take care of bigger creatures. So let's go ahead and put in a couple of other copies of a spell that might take out a more powerful creature. So let's see. Where's the... Should be right in here. There we go. Epic Downfall. Exile target creature with mana value 3 or greater. So it gives us a bit of a potential issue if we're going up against a horde of aggro small creatures. But, you know, that's not what killed us last time. What killed us last time was freaking 5 and 6 mana green creatures. Big stuff. You always have to find the right balance. The small stuff can get you if you're not ready for it, but more often than not, I think I get killed by the big stuff. So that's what we're going to prep against in here. So we removed a couple of hexproof creatures, but we still have those creatures in there, just not as many copies. Try and find not just a way to demonstrate the hexproof mechanic to you, but also to build a deck that has a good kind of balance between creatures and removal of threats, so that it can actually go the distance. Okay, so we have 2 copies of Bloodchief's Thirst, so we're ready to kill the small stuff right away. We wait for the pathway because we could use the blue to put a creature down, or we could get our second black so that we have good removal. And we have time to stall once more because we're going to use the black now. Looks like we got a Cleric Life Gain / Drain Life deck. And they are fast and cheap, relatively speaking, especially compared to us right now. So we don't need to worry about double black. So let's get a blue source down. Take out all the early threats that could grow to be disgusting later. And get on the board. Okay, you have Vigilance, so I can't get rid of you with Expel. Let's see, odd versus even. Do I want to waste an Extinction Event on 1? Or do I want to get my second black source down and give myself some options? Okay, they can kill my 3/3 if they're willing to tap it. If they tap it, I'll just expel it. Don't want to do that? You thinking about it? Okay, so we're gonna die anyway. So we're gonna make our remaining creature indestructible. Doesn't really matter all that much. Let's see, is that even and even? But mine's even, so we want to get rid of the flying threat so they don't have to worry about the double strike next turn. And I'll go get some lifelink. Good lifelink joy. Doesn't put a whole lot of pressure on their health, but having the lifelink add that differential really makes it seem like a big difference. More important for you to gain life or cause me to lose life? You want to gain life. More important for you. I agree at this stage. I don't have... Oh, wasn't even looking. Don't have enough green sources. Alright, with my lifelink, as long as they don't get rid of this, I can counter their attack, and they're the ones that are losing life. So still, let's see, is that a cleric? Yeah, so he'll get 2 back, so it's going to be slow going. concerning, but not immediately deadly. It is odd. I'm still having mana issues, aren't I? I need to maybe get back into the dual lands and accept that I'll have to have some tap lands out to give me more choices. Great. Okay, after all that, it's 2020. And I'm on the defensive. That's another odd. And my guy is enough to hold them off. Interesting. Alright, let's do it this way. That's not dead, so I don't have to sacrifice my own creature. Let's see how that works. Pull some more down. If I block, I'm gonna die. So we're at a standoff right now. But unless I can get a green source in there, he's gonna build up a lot faster than me. And there's one with Death Touch, so I basically have to let that go by. Okay, this does give me... Come on. The green source I needed. Where is my forest? Thank you. I really need something to get rid... Oh, geez, yet another angel. And yet another... They've used everything they've got, but it's probably enough to take me out. What did we get rid of? Skull Raid. Well, you don't need to worry about discarding things for me right now. He's only attacking with one? It's very conservative. I can't have 2 copies of Shadowspear out, so that's actually a wasted card, which means maybe it shouldn't be in the deck. Okay, if I attack with this, what are you going to block with? Block with an angel with Death Touch, they both die. And I have to sacrifice the other one. Resolve. Use you. Resolve. Oh, because he had two enchantments. So that's pretty much the game. I couldn't withstand one more attack. Alright, so Hexproof didn't save me from the enchantment. Which means maybe I need something more against enchantments in this deck to balance it out. Back to the drawing board. Alright, this is the fun of deck building, trying to find the right balance. So if we look, we're down to 17 creatures, which I kind of wanted to have more creatures in here, but we're running across more and more threats, and we're not getting to the bigger creatures. We're not lasting long enough. So for this particular deck at least, It's somewhat limiting because we're sticking with the hexproof theme, but we need to survive long enough to get our hexproof creatures out. Shadowspear ended up being a duplicate for us, so let's not have it take up an extra space. To get rid of enchantments, I don't want to do another dual color, so that means we're probably looking at green. Or we could do exile. And there, exile up to 3 enchantments. And we actually would have used that at that last thing because he put out 3 enchantments at the end. In the meantime, we do need to look at our lands because that time we had trouble getting green out. And I don't usually stay away from the tap lands quite so much, but let's see. Do one of those. We'll do one of those. And what do we think? How's our land distribution looking? It's pretty even overall. Maybe one more. Do if I can find you. Oh, way back here, right? There. We'll get a bit of scry in there as well. And that puts us back at 61 cards instead of 62. Let's do that. How many lands total does that give us? 27. So that's a lot of lands. Let's try it out. We're putting in more lands and more counters at the expense of our creature total. But the creatures that we have are powerful enough that if we can survive long enough to get them out, that may just make all the difference in the world. The trick in trying to do the balance is that sometimes they end up swarming you with so many threats that your piddly little 17-16 creatures in your deck are just not enough to put out enough on the board to block them. Okay, not the most ideal starting mix, but not the worst either. We just need a little green and a splash of white. And there's our green. And Speaker is a bad one to see early because we don't necessarily have the answer ready for it, do we? But this is good to have Altar finally show up because we can add 1 mana of any color. And that provides us a lot of relief. That does not. Okay, a 3/3 versus a 3/3. We'd be willing to accept it. What are the bad guys going to do, so to speak? We don't have a whole lot of choices here. Seven cards is digging deep into your library. What you got? Mantle of the Wolf. That's a 4/4. Are they going to save that for next turn? No, they're going to put Linvala up against the Speaker right away. Okay, this is where our green source comes in handy because we get to survive. And that gets rid of Speaker of the Heavens and Hydra's Growth, which could have been game ender threats if they lasted longer. Okay, we've got 2 blues, so now we start working on the black. And let's get a block in here. And let's go see if we can do... No, I want to use her as an attacker. We don't want them to get too far away from us in the health department, but we'll settle for getting rid of their creature. Unless they can flicker Siona, she's pretty much done. All she is just a 2/2. Okay, so here's Destroy All Creatures. This is where Linvala comes in. We'll sacrifice her. Go for Indestructible for Garruk Harbinger, so he stays. So that is also an okay trade in my mind. We finally get a hit in. Ooh, let's see. You know, Dream Trawler is more versatile. As much as I'd like to have a spined. But let's see, oh shoot. Yeah, I did that wrong, didn't I? I don't have the second white source. I should have taken the other one. I'm too busy thinking about ideally what I'd like to have as opposed to what I do have. Oh, this is nice. Let's see, that's a sorcery. We'll just do this. 5/4. You got any surprises? You're gonna let me through. Let me through. I like that. We'll take the Crystalline Giant. And let's see. Sorcery, doesn't matter. I don't want to keep you. I want you gone. You can keep the little kitty chump blocker. I need to be free to cast my instants without having a bunch of swarmed little spiders crawling up my back for the rest of the game. And Exile is good because sometimes these decks have Resurrection. And this is a nasty one to have to face against over and over and over again. Okay, he gets a, let's see, Plains and a Forest, right? Can't pay life, can't sacrifice non-land permanents to cast spells or activate abilities. So that rules out Linvala while he's on the board. And they're getting rid of my Shadowspear, and I only have one copy left now. Little puke. That's okay, because you're tapped out. And you're all even, and I'm odd. And that gives me enough for Dream Trawler next turn. This turn, I can get rid of anything in my way. I could bring down Crystalline Giant, but I want to attack first and see what kind of draw I get if I get another creature option. I get another Linvala. And let's bring down the Giant. He might have another board wipe. He does not. And so we're a little bit closer to having the right mix, I think. We'll probably do one more. Okay, we're one victory up, but that was due to a technical glitch that we lost my first victory, so all that you guys have seen is that I'm 50-50 so far. So we're going to see if we can break that tie. Or if I'm going to be 50-50 for the whole day with my new deck. And decisions. We've got green and white. We're going to end up needing both double green and double white at some point. Let's go with the white for now. If we can get Skyclave down, maybe we don't get the kicker, but we can get the second color of whatever we need. Okay, Megalodon, we do have black, we don't have the two blues. Let's start with black. Let's just get this down now. That way, whatever we're missing for the second color, we can get it over here. But we're still running into the problem of we got mostly expensive stuff. And they're going to start getting flyers out like nobody's business right away, with only 2 lands down. Something that can happen a lot because we got a big monster deck against a small deck, so to speak, small creatures, but that was kind of dictated to us because of the Hexproof theme, because we want to focus on that mechanic today. Hexproof is, because it's one of the more powerful effects, I don't think there are quite as many spells and creatures that have that as the other mechanics. So it's probably a lesser common type of mechanic, although since it is so powerful, you probably will come across it a lot. You'll probably see a lot of players putting, especially cards like Ranger's Guile these days, I see a ton. Dream Trawler is used in quite a few combo decks. And I'm still at a standstill. They're not attacking me, but I can't really afford to attack them, or they'll get more flyers and I'll be overwhelmed by 2/2 flyers. I've got Ranger's Guile as a backup card. Now it's really important that I don't lose the... Uh-oh. Okay, they're tapped out. They may think it's safe for them to attack. Yes, they do. It is not safe for them to attack, because I am not tapped out. They're still going to get 2 more 2/2 flyers, so they may not be too upset about that. They could repeat the next trick with just what they have already next turn. The Epic Downfall is highlighted because I can banish my own card. I don't want to do that. Okay, so I've got 2 whites. What do I need? I need some blue in here, don't I? Alright, now we're kicking. Should I say kicking or cooking with gas? They could double block Linvala, so I don't want to use her for an attack. I really need to keep the defense up. But they can shove that 1/1 at me and get 2 more 2/2 flyers if they want. Good play. Do I want to kill them and let... No, you know what? Let's just let them through. We're going to end up facing against those flyers anyway. Okay, but we can exile you. And we can wait on this one. No, you know what? Well, yeah. They're tapped. They might have Hexproof spell themselves. We get rid of Charm so they don't have enough health gain. What they got is what they're going to have to live with. They could get me close to 1 just by attacking with what they have. I might need to settle for a board wipe if I can get one of the 2 I have. And I get land. Well, I do get to put another creature down. And I did need another blocker. I wish I could attack. They can't kill me right away because they have lifelink. But I think this will kill me. Yeah, that'll start to kill me next. And still no board wipe. Oh. Okay, so what's my choice? This one already has lifelink. I guess all we can do is attack. That gives me, if they don't block, well, whether they do block or not, that gives me 11 life, puts me back up to 20. And that's still not enough. They could block with the wall. They'll do that. Doesn't stop my life gain. 4, 6. I don't have. Oh, I do have trample because of that. They want to guard against the trample. Kind of surprised they did that. Okay, I don't die there. I don't die there, do I? Let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8. I do die there. So what we're going to do is sacrifice her, make everybody else indestructible. And we got 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 points of damage. Points of damage. I live to fight one more turn. That doesn't give you enough life gain to get you more birds. Attack with everybody. That's not enough. That's only 15. Land? Seriously? You gave me land. Out of anything that I could have possibly used in this deck. That's not going to help me. Okay, that's better, actually. That gives me 11. He can pump everybody up. So I need to remove that. That's still not enough. 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. No, wait, it is. If they can't pump me up by 1, or pump themselves up by 1, they get more birds, though. That gives them 4 more damage. Oh, no. They can't target. They're going to target my life gain. I can't stop that. Back down to 1 again. Okay, last chance for a board wipe. Did not get a board wipe. They got even more creatures. Okay, so doesn't do any good for me right now. Cultivate does nothing for me. And a land does nothing for me. Oh, really? 6. And I'm overwhelmed. Ugh. I added more scry. I dug through the deck. I threw stuff away after stuff away. Still was not enough to do the small. Small, cheap creatures. I mean, here's the most expensive they had was 4 mana. So maybe the deck still needs tweaking, but I think we did good to last as long as we did, and we lasted as long as we did because we had Hexproof. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Sorry we didn't go out on a win today. But I hope for the newer players I demonstrated the good positive attributes that can have from incorporating Hexproof into your deck. And if you did like any aspect of things, if you like seeing me get my butt beat just about as often as I won, hit the like or subscribe button. Have a good one.